You're welcome back. It's been 3 years of the Bola Tinubu administration, or the Renewed Hope administration of President Bola Tinubu. And yes, he has spoken, or at least blown his own trumpet about his achievement in office. But perhaps what is most important to Nigeria, number one on that list, is security. And the stories are all over, from the kidnappings to even the wins by the security agencies, whether it's the police or the military. So let's do some analysis of this core part of the president's promise to Nigerians to ensure that Nigerians feel safe and secure. We're joined on the program by Mr. Yahuza Getso, who's a security and intelligence expert. Good morning, Mr. Getso. You're welcome to the program.
Good morning, team, and good morning, viewers.
So the president spoke about security and national unity, saying that it remains central to our national mission and to the creation of a viral and prosperous society. He spoke about the armed forces and security agencies intensifying operations against terrorists, bandits, kidnappers, oil thieves, and criminal networks. He admitted, actually, that challenges remain. Many communities and highways, however, according to the president, becoming safer and more economically active. So he ended that part by saying, while we continue to confront the challenges head on, progress is being made. Do you agree with that?
Well, first of all, I quite disagree with President Bola Ahmed Tinubu that progress is being made. And because the reality is, I said it day before yesterday, I said it yesterday, and I'm going to repeat myself now, that 95 to 98% of the criminals, cowardice criminals, who have been operating in the north central, northwestern part of the country are known. And they can be profiled by polling units, and they also can be profiled by political wards and by local governments. And we have their names, and they are citizens of Nigeria, and they can be reached out. If at all a Facebook negative commentator can be reached out through available communication channels, through the service providers of MTN, Airtel, Glo, and the rest of it, what have been delaying and why the government intentionally refused? Because as far as I'm concerned, it's an intentional refusal to reach out to the criminals where they are and deal with them, as I mentioned, by polling units, by political votes, and so on. Remember, the APC primaries congresses have been conducted, the PDP, the NDC, the ADC, in Zamfara, in Sokoto, in Katsina, in Niger, and all other places. And yet, nobody has been hurt simply because of the insecurity. But immediately after before the activity and immediately after the activity, even yesterday in Katsina in daylight, the attackers, at a time when governor was celebrating the Salah activities together with the emir and other people in Katsina city, not more than 70 kilometers to 120 kilometers, an attack was made in the daylight. And it will be quite disheartening and disappointing to hear anybody saying that our highways are free and are secured. How can you tell me this while I know it is not? If you say it is, why are your ministers flying the aeroplanes? Why can't they fly the same road? Why are the governors flying the aeroplane? Why can't they fly the same roads? Aren't they afraid of being ambushed by these cowardice criminals? Yes, of course, we must commend the troops for doing their best, but their best is not enough. And to you, Mr. President, the easiest and the most difficult way of fighting insurgency, you are not in the direction at all. Because if at all you want to fight insurgency and the criminality in Nigeria, especially in the northern part of the country and the country at large, you must be sincere and honest about fighting corruption, which you are not.
But
the government
let's consider, pardon me,
There
Mr.
are lots
Getso,
of allegations that are yet to be dealt with.
right, just
but
a quick.
We are not ready to do that.
Right, just a quick one, Mr.
Get,
so we can look at the data as well, if you can hear me. So this is out there. Just for the first few weeks of May, the DHQ released some numbers. 18 insurgents surrendered, 314 terrorists, criminals arrested, 317 terrorists and criminals neutralized, 221 kidnapped hostages rescued, 3 illegal refining sites and other items destroyed. So for the military, they're keeping tabs. Not so long ago, the top ISIS commander was also taken out in collaboration with the U.S. Armed Forces as well. So when you say that progress is not being made in that sense, how do you categorize these numbers and these wins, at least from the perspective of security?
Well, like I always say that I commend the effort of the troops because I go to the field. Right now that I'm talking to you, I'm around the corner of one of the forests in the northwestern part of the country. And I'm a practical person, not a theoretical or somebody who deals with papers. No, I go to the communities at the macro level. I go to the communities at the polling unit, political and local government levels. So I know what is happening. Yes, I commend the troops. They are doing their best. They are trying. But what I'm saying is these guys can be profiled. So what we need is feedback. And the feedback has to be, if you say you captured a number of insurgents surrendered, tell me which local government, from which states, from which community, from which settlement, from which polling unit. Your data should be speaking in that direction, not just to give me the figure. And if you tell me you neutralize, who do you neutralize in Malimpashi? Who do you neutralize in Dandume? Who do you neutralize in Paskari? Who do you neutralize in Matazu Musawa? Who do you neutralize in Kusada Kankia? Who do you neutralize in Bazari, Jibia, and the rest of it? Who do you neutralize in Damaga, in Binni Magaji, in Kauran Namoda, in Araba, in Shagari, in Ilela, and the rest of it? Who do you neutralize in Kebe local government, in Jega local government, in Mayama local government, in Wara local government, in Gaski local government? Who do you neutralize in Rijo local government? You need to give me a number. You need to give me specific. So you have to talk to me the way I'm talking to you. I said they are there at their polling unit, they can be profiled. I said they can be profiled by political votes. So when you are reading the data, when you are providing evidence, you should be able to provide those informations. Yes, of course, if you are talking about the northeastern part of the country, you should be able also to give us the list of the names, who surrendered, who do you neutralize, and where. We need those facts by political word, by polling unit, by local government, because you need to tell me what is happening in Gubiu, what is happening in Gaidam, what is happening in Askira Oba, what is happening in Chibok, what is happening in Kwanduga, what is happening in Michika and the rest of it. You know, when you are talking, you should be speaking directly to the communities, and you should be able to tell me which highway is safe. Are you trying to tell me that the highway between Zaria to Funtua and Funtua to Safe and Safe to Gusau, Gusau to Mayanchi, Mayanchi to Sokoto, Sokoto to Ilela, and then Mayanchi to Anka, Anka to Bukuyum to Gumi to Zuru is safe? Can you tell me this? Are you trying to tell me that you have been able to manage the Lakurawa activities in 4 political wards in this other part of Kebe local government in Sokoto state? Are you telling me that Mayama, Dakingari, and the rest of all Koko Bese and Danko Sogu and other places are safe? You should be speaking with evidence. You should be speaking directly to the communities, so I can be able to verify. I go to these communities. I'm always around those communities. Like I mentioned, even now that I'm talking to you, I'm around the corner of one of the communities.
All right.
And I know I have a practical evidence that a community between where I am and less than 120 kilometers, even in this midnight, I received about 7 distress calls of attacks in a number of communities. Yes, of course, our troops are there. We commend them. We encourage them. It's something we can do.
Yeah,
but something is missing somewhere. It's not something that Nigeria doesn't have the capacity and ability to do. Yeah. But the system failure have made it very difficult, simply because of that quantified of corruption and other illegalities, inability to hold people accountable based on responsibilities being assigned.
Dr. Getso, it's the solutions that we're trying to prefer, and we hope that this conversation can help. You have said that every terrorist can be profiled by ward and by polling unit. And the U.S. State Commission on International Religious Freedom is also attempting to maybe provide similar, information to what you're offering. There's a report that has come through recently from the U.S. State Commission on International Religious Freedom saying that 30,000 armed Fulani militants are operating across Nigeria. And the report talks about how they're distributed between the northwest and the north central and right down to the middle belt. And that their activities have been responsible for the displacement of about 1.3 million Nigerians. First of all, I want you to speak to the profiling of this report, naming a particular ethnic group. How authentic would that be, in the light of the circumstances that we find ourselves in right now, the pushback on that particular profiling? And if what we are dealing with is 30,000, doesn't the state have the capacity to defeat it, against the backdrop of the numbers that we have in terms of security agencies? We're talking about the armed forces, we're talking about the police, we even have the NSCDC. So I'd like you to speak to these implications of the report that I have identified.
Well, I first of all had to commend those who made effort to put together the reports. But as far as I'm concerned, the number is even higher than that. And I am disputing that, yes, of course, there are a lot of combination of Fulani militia, but I don't believe, and I quite disagree with ethnic profiling, because it is a combination of all tribes living around the areas. If there are nupes in the area where activities of these cowardice guys are taking place, it means you cannot say Fulani militia. You have to say that they combine collaborators with the Fulani militia, because who is providing them with the social services? Who is providing them with the information? Who is providing them with essential needs? Does that mean the Fulani militia have access to fueling stations, that they have their own fueling stations? Because you have to be specific. Who is replenishing them with arms and ammunition and so on and so forth? The data that have been provided is quite good. They have made a very good assertion. But at the same time, I agree that more than 99.9% of those who are carrying arms are Fulani. But who is providing them an enabling environment to operate? Because as far as we continue to analyze and look at this issue based on tribal profiling, we'll never get it right, and we'll never get it done, and we'll never be able to handle it well. And it will continue to provoke, because that is one of the reasons why that an ordinary Fulani man cannot travel between Sokoto and Zamfara now. An ordinary Fulani man cannot travel between Zaria and Abuja, Kaduna and Zaria and Kano and so on, to many places. And these guys are citizens of Nigeria, like I said. And since I said that they can be profiled and they can be handled with, the criminals among them know themselves. And those who are not part of the criminality and they are Fulani, they know the criminals among themselves. And I believe that if the right job and the right actions can be taken, we have the adequate, even more than adequate, in terms of police, in terms of DSS, in terms of Nigerian Army, Nigerian Air Force, Nigerian Navy, and the rest of it. And even the other collaborators, local collaborators and corroborators. we have more than enough to handle this issue. It's only that we intentionally refused, simply because we are fueling the crisis of corruption. Simply because of our inability to hold anybody accountable. Nigeria have the capacity, and we can handle it. And these guys, the criminals, are spread. Let me tell you, you know, there is area in northern Nigeria where this militia, these criminals, these bandits celebrated the gathering of 100 motorbikes, 1 million motorbikes in one of the states in northern Nigeria. And this motorbike, they did not possess them by purchase. They possessed them by forcing the families and relations of kidnapped victims to deliver it to them as condition, together with the sum ransom. They were able to celebrate generation or mobilization of 1 million motorbikes. I was in attendance.
All right, Dr.
I was in attendance. I participated.
Let me quickly follow up on that.
And I have provided this information to the government. And up to now that I'm talking to you, that area and that location, the guys are still free. They are living as free as Mr. President in the villa. So what are we saying? We have to be sincere. We have to be honest. We have to take it serious. And these guys cannot be above the authority and cannot be above the law. They're not operating on the sky. They are not operating somewhere else. They're not operating underground. We know where they are. We know who they are. And government have every information, because I have been providing all the necessary information that if at all, 30% of those
let me quickly follow up on that.
We have been able to handle these guys, to manage this crisis.
Let me quickly, pardon me, let me quickly follow up on that. You know, there have been reports of arrest of, you know, informants and aides, those who are aiding and abetting insurgency, fueling supplies to them using motorbikes. Why do you think, you know, there hasn't been a policy response to ban the use of motorbikes in much of these areas that are challenged by insurgency and banditry? And I'd like you to also speak to the presence of videos circulating online suggesting that the Safe Corridor program is actually handing huge sums of money as compensation to those in that program, coupled with, you know, something similar that is happening in Kano State, where the state government is also offering a program for repentant thugs. How do these, you know, policy responses tackle the challenge of insecurity and banditry?
Well, the reality is not all about banning the use of motorbikes. It is about registering all the motorbikes that are being used by either public for commercial purpose or for private purpose. And also, there must be an intensified effort to know the number of motorbikes being imported into the country, who imported it, and who bought it, and where are they? Why do we have VIO? Why do we have police? Why do we have federal road safety? Why can't they enforce registration of all motorbikes? So that those motorbikes, why can't they also be aligned, those motorbikes, with the national ID? So that everybody who possesses, who own a given vehicle can be traced. I want to tell you that more than 98% of the motorbikes that are being used by public and for commercial purposes in Nigeria are not registered with the Vehicle Inspection Unit or the Federal Road Safety Commission, or Federal Road Safety Corps. And there is no law enforcing that. It is necessary and important. It is an important tool for us to achieve, or for us to drive the process of success, if we can sanction, put a policy whereby motorbikes can only be used between 8 a.m. to 6 p.m. in all the crisis areas, in the northeast, in the northwest, in the north central, and all other part of southwest, south, and the rest of it. Because motorbikes are contributing more than 90% of the criminality being conducted is being utilized using the motorbike.
All right, Mr. Gates, so this is...
how do we enforce the...
Right, pardon me. I mean, this is a very chilling
yes, of course.
detail,
when you mention Kano,
and I mean, these videos
really
emerged on social media.
To the crisis.
Right, if you can hear me, I just want us to wrap up with this. If you say you were at that event, I don't know if it's the same one that is trending online, the video that showed these men with their motorcycles. When did this take place and where? And have you escalated this to security agencies, if you indeed were there, part of it?
Sorry, kindly come again with your question. Sorry.
You said that
the last segment of the question.
Right. You said that you were at that event where, you know, the bandits were parading or showing off their motorcycles in large numbers. When did it take place? Because there are videos circulating online, so I want to be sure it's the same one that you're referring to. When and where did it take place? And have you escalated this to security agencies?
When I get the information of the activity that is going to happen, and provided the information to the right authority at the highest level of authority of intelligence in Nigeria. Whether they acknowledge it or they don't acknowledge it is their business. But all I know is I provided the information. That is one. Secondly, I put myself in a hideout, not in the general, in the open space where the criminals will see me. I'll see my presence. I stayed at about, I can say almost half a kilometer or thereby, and I was able to view all the activities that took place. And after it happens, I also provided the same information feedback that what these guys claim is true, because I saw it with my eye. And this is the area where they are. And during many of my discussions in between, it happens sometimes. I must commend the governor of the state, because the governor of the state, together with the federal authority, have followed up with an action that led to the massacre of more than 400 criminals in that area. But does that stop the activity?
Well, Mr. Getto,
no.
all right, we have to wrap up now. But when was this? What day of May was this?
Sorry?
On what day of May did this event happen?
No, it's not in the month of the May. It happens sometimes between January, February, March, April. Before April, just before April.
All right, Mr. Yahuza Getso,
not in the month of May.
We have to thank you for your time.
In May, I don't know about it.
Right, we have to thank you for your time and your contribution to this all-important conversation. Mr. Yahuza Getso is a security and intelligence expert joining us virtually on the program. Thank you once again.
Thank you for having me.
We'll take a moment now, and when we return, we'll turn our attention to ADC politics. Stay with us.